The success story of securing the well-being and a better future for Belize's children has been a decade in the making. Through real partnerships and with support from warm and generous hearts, the concerns of the most vulnerable among us have become a greater priority than ever before in the history of our young nation. In 2008, Mrs. Kim Simplis Barrow was appointed by the government of Belize to the unique position of Special Envoy for Women and Children.
From the social sector, we noted that his wife, Kim Simplis Barrow, she had an established record already dealing with social issues through her Lifeline Foundation. So we thought it would be an excellent idea if we could have someone of her profile be a champion for women and children in the sector, women and children's issues in the sector.
I quickly realized that it had to be more than just advocacy. I was really moved into action by the many people that I met throughout this country, just touring and meeting children at children's homes or families in their homes with their children who had disabilities, or women in remote villages, and just talking about their issues. I quickly found out that there was no budget for the office. Whatever I had planned on doing, I would have to start from scratch.
Fortuitously, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was also establishing an office in Belize City at the same time, and we kind of begged some space. And that's really how she has an office and staff. And really, her projects have all been through her own initiative. She doesn't have a budget beyond that from the government, so she has fundraised.
The work by Mrs. Barrow and her office is inspired by her dreams and hopes to make Belize a more inclusive society and bridging gaps that have disproportionately affected women and children.
As the wife of the Prime Minister or as a First Lady anywhere in the world, we might not have power, but we do have influence. And it is really up to us to use that influence in as many positive ways as is possible.
She would call me as a chief technical person, as a chief education officer, for advice.
Mrs. Barrow is clearly a deeply committed and influential voice on the rights of women and children in Belize. She not only believes in equity and equality, she speaks up for it, she stands up for it.
I suspect she's driven by some core values, some core convictions about what is right and what is wrong and what every human being is entitled to.
You know, she has been, in my view, been able to engage in all the areas of concern for children, women, and as I said, by extension, families.
Her passion for the work that she does plays a critical role, and that in itself speaks volume to who she is as a person.
The first multi-million-dollar project spearheaded by the Special Envoy was the Inspiration Center. 2 telethons in 2012 and 2013 saw Belizeans from all walks of life come together to turn this dream into a reality. Overwhelming financial support was received from the business community, government, NGOs, and individuals. Even children gave whatever they could.
Apart from other efforts, when she could have had that telethon and raised $1 million, I think that's certainly unprecedented for Belize, and so that will always be the greatest takeaway for me.
In early 2014, the Inspiration Center was officially opened, and today, Belizean children with disabilities have access to life-transforming services.
I have a 7-year-old son with Down syndrome. He is attending Belize Elementary School and is currently in Infant 1. I believe that all these therapy that he has had has helped him to keep as close as possible to the milestones, to achieve his milestones. It has been a tremendous help in terms of therapy. The Inspiration Center has been a beacon of hope for me, and I know for other parents as well.
It has created quite an impact. Many children have benefited across the country from the services we offer. On a daily basis, we see children who have improved. Some who cannot walk are now walking into the center and saying, "Doc, I can walk." You know, that's a rewarding part of the job.
It was a huge contribution to Belize, and for me it wasn't just about my office accomplishing this. It was really about Belizeans accomplishing the Inspiration Center, because so many Belizeans were a part of the process of seeing and making the Inspiration Center a reality.
The Ministry of Health plays a pivotal role in ensuring the Inspiration Center offers the essential medical services, while parents are equipped with the skills to care for their special needs children.
Since its establishment, it's really gone from strength to strength, and provides an enormously important centre of activity, help and assistance for such families. Of course, not just for the children themselves, but also sometimes to provide some respite for the parents. It provides enormous value. So whatever we invest as a community, as a country, as a government into the Inspiration Centre, that investment is tiny compared to the true value of the work that comes out of the centre.
One of the Special Envoy's most ambitious endeavors came to fruition in 2015 with the opening of the Pediatric and Neonatal Intensive Care Unit at the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital.
This is the example that you would want to utilize to say, you know, there it is. It is possible to establish a world-class center in Belize.
Over 11,000 square feet, the facility has child-friendly design features, accommodation for parents, and state-of-the-art equipment to care for critically ill children and newborns.
She had a vision as to what it should be, and she was instrumental in every step of the way until its very completion.
Bringing the new hospital wing to fruition took intensive fundraising.
So Mrs. Barrow visited us and said very plainly, I recognize you support marine conservation in Belize, but I have this compelling project regarding transformation of the pediatric care wing at the hospital. So I took it to Geneva, I shared it with the relevant players who work in that field, and we managed to secure a $2 million grant.
Quite early on, after my appointment, I was in touch with the Special Envoy, and we spoke about different things that we felt that we could work together on, and one of them was particularly for the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit, and we also did some fundraising for that. We probably have fundraised maybe together about $350,000 with just the diaspora. That is just on the fundraising side of it.
I think she is successful because she does it for the right reason, because she does it because it will impact on the community for a long time.
I think what Mrs. Barrow brings to the table is the personal touch. It is not that you're giving money to a big government scenario. She is there in person communicating the specific needs, the case studies, the examples of why she is willing to go the extra mile. Looking at this from the fundraising perspective, there are so many causes out there and dwindling resources on the philanthropic end. So you have to give her credit that she has been able to show why Belize is still someplace that is worth giving your money to.
There's something we have to recognize in the Office of the Special Envoy, and especially on Ms. Kim Simplis, is her passion about it, her commitment, her dedication, and the main reason for her to be involved is to make sure Belizean children are better served.
In addition to children's health care, Mrs. Simplis Barrow has worked tirelessly on advocating for better laws, policies, and programs to protect children and women from the horrors of abuse, commercial sexual exploitation, and human trafficking. For over a decade, her office has been an integral part of a multi-sectoral response to all forms of violence against children, adolescents, and women. In both 2010 and 2011, the Special Envoy hosted symposiums on the commercial sexual exploitation of children, CSEC, to sensitize both the general populace and tourism industry stakeholders.
Strengthened legislation on the commercial sexual exploitation of children and human trafficking came in 2013 as a result of the lobbying efforts of Mrs. Simplis Barrow and other key partners such as the Ministry of Human Development and NCFC. With students at her side in the National Assembly, the Special Envoy proudly witnessed the criminal code being amended to implement harsher penalties for perpetrators of child sexual abuse.
In terms of the legislation, I think that process has created more awareness. And also, I believe that there has been a lot more reporting of cases of sexual violence against children and women.
Just by the fact that she was instrumental in those laws being changed has been of great help to NCFC. And with her input when she became Special Envoy, things started to happen. So yes, I would say that's the benefits that NCFC and, like I said, the children of Belize have gotten.
Expanding the reach of advocacy and continuing a path of action, the Special Envoy convened another symposium in November 2013. Every agency involved in child protection answered the call to join the discussions and craft a roadmap to end all forms of violence against children in their homes, schools, and communities.
The Special Envoy's efforts have also included direct engagement with Belize's children with critical empowerment and educational initiatives. The My Body is Precious campaign, which was launched in 2013, has successfully provided children from across the country with powerful information on sexual abuse and exploitation through books and multilingual videos, enabling children to differentiate between appropriate and inappropriate touch, as well as how to communicate their concerns and seek help.
The work that the office has done in terms of awareness on child abuse, sexual abuse, and the utility of different tools such as the My Body is Precious, for example, is a key example of the level of work that the office has done, and that even though it is a high-level intervention, it reaches out to children individually.
Complementing the children's book was a Girl Empowerment Speaking Tour and an information guide on sexual abuse. Mrs. Simplis Barrow has continued to ensure that these issues remain in the public domain, raising awareness on gender-based violence during observances such as 16 Days of Activism, speaking engagements to schools and community groups, as well as issuing public statements on serious cases of violence against women and children.
One of the biggest things to me that has been brought out in the work that the office has done now is that there are so many faces to the women that this has happened to. Everything I've done through them, it's not only helped other people, it's helped to continue to transform me. It's helped to make me understand that there is no shame in what happened. And I think that's the biggest thing about what the Special Envoy's office has done when it comes to gender-based violence, is helping to make women understand that it's not their fault. They don't need to be ashamed.
The Office of the Special Envoy and its partners are now tackling sexual cyberbullying and the non-consensual transmission of intimate images. A forum was held in 2019 to foster a common understanding of this technologically aided form of gender-based violence and to consider good practices, including legal remedies.
I think she's been able to draw attention to a lot of the issues that we need to think about and that we would otherwise not be thinking and talking about. And it is a basis for us to draw people together, people who feel the same way, who want to talk about these things and figure out a way to handle responses.
After extensive collaboration, Mrs. Barrow saw this very important piece of legislation come to fruition as a Cybercrimes Act was introduced in Belize's House of Representatives in September 2020. These critical issues make for a busy schedule, but the spirit of Christmas is never missing at the office of the Special Envoy. Each year, Mrs. Simplis Barrow hosts a Christmas concert for young residents of children's homes across the country, ensuring that even those who are away from their families during the holidays still get to share in the joy of the season. She also hosts an annual and family-friendly laser light show and Christmas concert, open to the general public, where everything, sweets, food, and entertainment, is provided free of cost with the help of the Office of the Prime Minister and sponsors.
Also, this is the time of the year when the inspiration calendars featuring artwork by children with disabilities and the Special Envoy agendas, which are sold as a source of funding for the Inspiration Center, are launched. These 3 events have become signature end-of-year occasions for the Special Envoy.
And different kids get selected to do artwork, and we feature all the pieces of art. There are no pieces that get left. There's nobody that doesn't have a piece that's good enough. Sometimes it's a pencil drawing, sometimes it's a painting, sometimes it's a coloring. It doesn't really matter. These opportunities for us are special because we like to give back in whatever way that we can, and so to have the opportunity to do so is an honor for us.
The Special Envoy has also focused on women's empowerment using a variety of advocacy tools. The 20,000 Strong campaign was launched in March 2014 with a massive national rally that was repeated in 2016 and 2018. The Special Envoy, along with other dynamic local female leaders, are on a mission to inspire other Belizean women and girls to claim their rightful space as equal partners in our nation's development.
It occurred to her that women's empowerment sort of needed a boost, and in thinking about it, she called together a group of quite diverse women. She pulled us all together in a room and said, let's brainstorm about what we can do for empowerment of women.
You were able to see women from different walks of life to come together willingly to be part of the intervention and to see how they can contribute, bring their skills, bring their experiences. And I think that is something that she was able to do by using her network.
Recognizing the importance of women's economic empowerment as an essential strategy to achieving gender equality, in 2014, the Special Envoy hosted a national call to action conference on women's and girls' financial health. Mrs. Simplis Barrow took that call to action to the rest of the world at the 69th United Nations General Assembly. The Summit for Spouses of Heads of States and Government encouraged support for areas of microfinancing for female entrepreneurs, violence prevention initiatives, and women's health and education.
How can a small little country like Belize bring first ladies from all over the world to come to the United Nations to discuss the issues of women and girls' financial health? And it was done. You know, she very much garnered the support of the United Nations.
That global call to action for women and girls ultimately resulted in the formation of the Spouses of the Caribbean Leaders Action Network, S-Clan, which was inaugurated in Belize in September 2016, with Mrs. Simplis Barrow as its chairperson. In 2017, the CARICOM heads of state endorsed S-Clan.
I think she has made a mark regionally in terms of helping to redefine, even if I would be so bold as to say that, the role of spouses of prime ministers.
Addressing issues such as adolescent pregnancy, addressing issues of HIV, addressing issues of gender-based violence. Mrs. Barrow was very instrumental in developing that whole initiative.
With her work, I think she has created awareness of what a First Lady can do when she leverages her position.
Her voice has been among the loudest calling measures to safeguard the rights of all vulnerable and marginalized groups. She continues to be part of public awareness efforts in support of legislation that strengthens civil rights provisions, prohibiting all forms of discrimination and reinforcing the rights of all Belizeans.
Having this special position, this privileged position that she holds as First Lady, she used it in a very positive way to influence some of the, and drive and promote and champion some of the social issues that we have in Belize. Human rights, HIV, AIDS, and human rights, that's a sensitive issue for Belize. She was at the forefront in terms of pushing this.
Kim's passion for the issues, her willingness to pick up the phone and to get the conversation going, has led to ultimately the reform and updating of Belize's sexual offences laws to eliminate discrimination against various marginalised groups.
She sets the model for others to appreciate that you can be in politics or you can be around politics, but you don't have to lose your principle when you're trying to make a difference in the lives of people.
Her partnership on the Equal Opportunities Bill, that is very controversial. It manifests in the work that she does in terms of calling out discrimination, calling out any kind of hate.
The Equal Opportunities Bill may have been one of the most challenging endeavors for the Special Envoy. Working closely with the Ministry of Human Development and the National AIDS Commission, consultations began in early 2019 with over 30 stakeholder groups representing various sectors of society, including labor unions, the business community, Indigenous people, the elderly, women and children, sexual minorities, the legal community, persons with disabilities, and faith-based organizations. In January of 2020, a series of public town hall meetings were held throughout Belize, and feedback from those sessions plus stakeholder consultations were utilized to revise the draft bill. The Equal Opportunities Bill was presented to Cabinet in September of 2020. However, due to vocal opposition, mostly from the churches in Belize, the bill will need to undergo some more fine-tuning before it will be presented to Parliament.
Mrs. Simplis Barrow has been unflinching in her resolve that our environment must be preserved and protected for future generations. She has collaborated with various conservation organizations, including Oceana Belize, in their partnerships with the government to ban offshore drilling and address the issue of illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, or IUU, in Belize.
Having that personality, having that force come out and say publicly was tremendous, because I do think it gave people the room to follow suit, that she was able to take this position and give people the comfort to say, I agree with Mrs. Barrow, if that was easier than saying I agree with Oceana or I agree with the number of individuals or organizations that was behind the campaign at the time.
She's not afraid to go against the status quo. She's the Prime Minister's wife, but that doesn't mean that she agrees with everything that is said from the government standpoint. She's not afraid to come out and say, I think they're wrong.
One of the greatest challenges the Special Envoy has faced during her tenure is a personal one, being diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer.
Like, I knew my mom was ill, but in my mind it was like, oh, she just has like the flu or something. I really did not understand the intensity of what was happening, because when we flew up that time, that was because her heart was failing. And so, I don't want to say this, but she wasn't supposed to be here because of that.
Her tenacity during her public battle with the disease helped to create greater awareness and the importance of early detection.
Cancer was finally on the front burner. Mrs. Barrow's public documentary of her journey has certainly helped others.
What Kim was able to do with even the word cancer, of having people be comfortable to say, I have cancer, or to show they have cancer by not, being a recluse or forced to wear a wig. I remember when Prince Harry came, it was like, oh, well, Kim can't go meet the prince, she doesn't have any hair. And Kim was like, so? you know, and she showed up and she greeted him and exchanged gifts and pleasantries, and it was just, it was normal, and it put everybody like, so what's the big deal? It's only hair.
I was glad that she went public. She decided to go public right from the start, and that the bald Mauritian campaign, things like that, the tremendous outpouring of support for her, and her able to use that as a springboard.
She really broke through, I think, a barrier that maybe some of us weren't even aware existed.
The way she approached that bad situation or her illness, using that situation as an opportunity, heightened the awareness of cancer on a whole, made a difference for many, many females.
She has saved lives. Perhaps we'll never know how many.
Drawing on her own experience with cancer treatment, Mrs. Barrow realized that in order for Belize to develop the capacity to provide radiation treatment for cancer patients, a national safety infrastructure would be necessary. The National Radiation Safety and Security Bill was introduced to Parliament in September 2020, and now Belize will be able to access the equipment and technical support that the International Atomic Energy Agency is willing to provide for this type of cancer treatment within the country.
During her cancer ordeal, Mrs. Simplis Barrow found a renewed sense of purpose. The Anglican Bishop Right Reverend Philip Wright believes that her connection with God not only helped her during her time of illness, but also fueled her spirit of public service.
Kim is a woman of faith, you know. She believes in a God of justice, a God of equality, and a God who loves. Faced with the possibility of a earlier death than expected, she became even more resolved in the fact that I need to get done what I have to get done. And I saw a woman who sometimes I thought should be resting, was still there.
The greatest rewards of public service are intrinsic, and for the Special Envoy, her work has been a manifestation of her passion for the issues and a commitment to contribute to national development and the greater good.
I mean, when we first started, half of the issues weren't even being discussed, or we didn't have issues with those issues, and now you never know what you're going to wake up to. You never know what issue you're going to wake up to. And I could not have done it without all the people that have worked with me. All those people, it wasn't just about me, it was about them believing in that dream that I had, or that crazy idea that I would walk into the office and say, okay, I have an idea of it. And then they would just say, okay, we're going to run with it and make it happen.
Creating opportunities for hope, promise, and development remains the hallmark of the Special Envoy's mission. Uplifting women and children all over the country has been the driving force behind all her actions for the past decade, by crossing boundaries that have too often created setbacks for the well-being of women and children in Belize, and by bringing people together both here in Belize and abroad. Mrs. Kim Simplis Barrow has demonstrated that empathy and the genuine passion for the betterment of our people does lead to change.
She has a way of organizing people who get it done. And that's a particular gift that everybody doesn't have. It's the ability to get it done.
That's what I admire about her, just her subtle tenacity and her diligence.
Once she's able to meet the person and they hear what her projects are like, and they see that she's serious about what she's talking about, and that results are obtained, that I think that's why she's successful.
Not in our wildest dreams did we think that, you know, you would have this level of activity and success.
My mom is empowering. The first thing I thought of was she's empowering, honestly. She's so compassionate towards others, and you can see she really cares, and she really, if you talk to her, she will sit, she will listen to you.
She's an inspiration to others because she doesn't give up. She keeps going and going and going, determined to create better opportunities for children.
She has never shied from just saying, okay, I know I'm going to take flack for this, but I'm going to say it anyway because I believe, you know, in equal opportunity. I believe in rights for all, regardless of sexual orientation. I believe, you know, we shouldn't be doing offshore oil. Whatever it is, Kim has said it and has stuck to it, and, you know, has really, I don't want to say she doesn't care about what anybody else is saying, but it's never fazed her.
There will be lots more of her legacy yet to come, but at least for now, she will certainly be remembered by people like me as someone of immense energy, enormous passion, and particularly of love for children, love for families, love for community, and her willingness to do anything that it takes.
I certainly still want to continue contributing to the development of Belize, for sure. How that contribution will be made, I don't know yet. There's a saying, if you help one person, if you made a difference in one person's life, you've made a difference. So I'm hoping that I've made a difference in at least one person's life.